Sri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 14. Rutonji Vadia of Nandart, Saint Mauli Sahib, Dakshina Mimansa. In the last chapter, we described how Baba's word and grace cured many incurable diseases. Now we shall describe how Baba blessed Mr. Rutonji Vadia with an issue. The life of the saint is naturally sweet in and out. His various doings, eating, walking, and his natural sayings are also sweet. His life is bliss incarnate. Sai gave it out as a means of his devotees' remembrance to him. He gave them various stories of duty and action, which ultimately led them to true religion. His object may be that people should live happily in this world, but they should be ever cautious and gain the object of their life, that is, self realization. We get human body as a result of merits in past births, and it is worthwhile that with its aid we should attain devotion and liberation in this life. So we should never be lazy, but always be on the alert to gain our end and aim of life. If you daily hear the Leelas of Sai, you will always see him. Day and night, where you will remember him in your mind. When you assimilate Sai in this way, your mind will lose its fickleness, and if you go on in this manner, it will finally be merged in pure consciousness. Rutonji of Nandar. Now let us come to the main story of this chapter. In Nanded, in the Nizam state, there lived a Parsi mill contractor and trader by name Rutonji Shapurji Vadia. He had amassed a large amount of money and had acquired fields and lands. He had got cattle, horses, and conveyances and was very prosperous. To all outward appearances, he looked very happy and contented, but inwardly and really he was not so. Providential dispensation is such that no one in this world is completely happy and rich. Rutonji was no exception to this. He was liberal and charitable, gave food and clothing to the poor, and helped all in various ways. The people took him to be a good and happy man, but Rutonji thought himself miserable as he had no issue, male or female, for a long time. As Kirtan, singing glories of the Lord without love or devotion, music of singing without rhythmical accompaniments, Brahman without the sacred thread, proficiency in all arts without common sense, pilgrimage without repentance, and ornamentation without a necklace are ugly and useless. So is the house of a man or householder without a male issue. Rutonji always brooded on this matter and said in his mind, would God be ever pleased to grant me a son? He thus looked morose, had no relish for his food. Day and night he was enveloped with anxiety whether he would ever be blessed with a son. He had a great regard for Dasganu Maharaj. He saw him and opened his heart before him. Dasganu advised him to go to Shirdi, take Baba's darshan, fall at his feet and seek his blessings and pray for issue. Rutonji liked the idea and decided to go to Shirdi. After some days he went to Shirdi, took Baba's darshana and fell at his feet. Then opening a basket, he took out a beautiful garland of flowers and placed it around Baba's neck and offered him a basket of fruits. With great respect, he then sat near Baba and prayed to him, saying, many persons who find themselves in difficult situations come to you, and you relieve them immediately. Hearing this, I have sought anxiously your feet. Please, therefore, do not disappoint me. Sai Baba then asked him for dakshina of 5 rupees, which Ratonji intended to give, but added that he had already received 314 from him, and that he should pay the balance only. Hearing this, Rutonji was rather puzzled. He could not make out as to what Baba meant. That was the first time he thought that he went to Shirdi, and how was it that Baba said that he had already received 3 rupees 14 paise from him. He could not solve the riddle, but he sat at Baba's feet and gave the balance of dakshina asked for, explained to Baba's fully as to why he came and sought his help and prayed that Baba should bless him with a son. Baba was moved and told him not to be worried, and that thenceforward his bad days has ended. He then gave him Udi, placed his hand on his head and blessed him, saying that Allah would satisfy his heart's desire. Then, after taking Baba's leave, Ratonji returned to Nandit and told Dasganu everything that took place at Shirdi. He said that everything went on well there, that he got Baba's darshan and blessing with prasad. But there was one thing which he could not understand. Baba said to him that he had got rupees 14 before. Please explain as to what Baba meant by this remark. He said to Dasgunu, I never went to Shirdi before, and how could I give him the sum of which Baba referred? To Dasgunu also it was a puzzle, and he pondered much over it for a long time. Some time afterwards it struck him that Rutonji has received some days ago a Mohammedan saint by name Mauli Sahib in his house and had spent some money for his reception. This Mauli Sahib was Coolie saint well known to the people of Nanded. When Rutonji decided to go to the Shirdi, this Mauli Sahib accidentally came to Rutonji's house. Rutonji knew him and loved him, so he gave a small party in his honor. Dasganu got from Ratonji the yadi or memo of expenses of this reception, and everybody was wonderstruck to see that the expenses amounted to exactly 3 rupees 14 paise, nothing more, nothing less. They all came to know that Baba was omniscient, that thought he lived in Shirdi. He knew what happened outside, far away from Shirdi. In fact, he knew the past, present, and future and could identify himself heart and soul with anybody. In this particular instance, how could he know the reception given to Mauli Sahib and the amount spent there for unless he could identify himself with him and be one with him? Rutunji was satisfied with this explanation and his faith in Baba has confirmed and increased. In due time afterwards, he was blessed with a son and his joy knew no bounds. It is said that he had in all a dozen issues, out of which only four survived. In a footnote towards the end of this chapter, it is stated that Baba told Rao Bahadur Hari Vinayak Sate after the death of his first wife to remarry and that he would get a son. R.B. Sate married second time. The first two issues by his wife were daughters and he therefore felt very despondent. But the third issue was his son. Baba's word did turn out true and he was satisfied. Dakshina Mimansa. Now we shall close this chapter with a few remarks about Dakshina. It is well known fact that Baba always asked for Dakshina from people who went to see him. Somebody may ask a question, if Baba was a fakir and perfectly non-attached, why should he ask for Dakshina and care for money? We shall consider this question broadly now. First, for a long time, Baba did not accept anything. He stored burnt matches and filled his pocket with them. He never asked anything from anybody, whether he be a devotee or otherwise. If anybody placed before him a pice or two, he purchased oil or tobacco. He was fond of tobacco, for he always smoked a bidi or chilim. Then some persons thought that they could not see the saints empty handed, and they therefore placed some copper coins before Baba. If a pice was placed before him, he used to pocket it. If it was a 2 pice coin, it was returned immediately. Then, after Baba's fame had spread far and wide, people began to flock in numbers, and Baba began to ask dakshina from them. It is said in the Shruti Veda that puja of the gods is not complete unless a golden coin was offered. If a coin was necessary in the puja of the gods, why should it not be so in the puja of the saints also? Ultimately, the Shastras laid it down that when one goes to see God, King, Saint, or Guru, he should not go empty handed. He should offer something, preferably coin or money. In this connection, we may notice the precepts recommended by the Upanishads, the Brihadaranya Brihadaranyaka Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that the Lord Prajapati advised the gods, men, and demons by one letter, the. The gods understood by this letter that they should practice Dhamma, that is self control. The men thought or understood that they should practice Dana, that is charity. The demons understood that they should practice Daya, that is compassion. To men, charity or giving was recommended. The teacher in the Taittiriya Upanishad exhorts his pupils to practice charity and other virtues. Regarding charity, he says, give with faith, give with magnanimity, that is, liberally, give with modesty, with awe, and with sympathy. In order to teach the devotees the lesson of charity and to remove their attachment to money and thus to purify their minds, Baba extracted dakshina from them. But there was this peculiarity, as Baba said, that he had to give back 100 times more of what he received. There are many instances in which this has happened. To quote an instance, Mr. Ganpatrao Bodas, the famous actor, says in this Marathi autobiography that on Baba's passing him often and often for dakshina, he emptied his money bag before him. The result of this was as Mr. Boda says, that in later life he never lacked money as it came to him abundantly. There were also second meanings of dakshina in many cases in which Baba did not want any pecuniary amount. To quote two instances, Baba asked 15 rupees as dakshina from Professor Gigi Narke, who replied that he did not have even a pie. Then Baba said, I know you have no money, but you are reading Yoga Vashishta. Give me dakshina from that. Giving dakshina in this case meant deriving lessons from the book and lodging them in the heart where Baba resides. In the second case, Baba asked a certain lady, Mrs. R.A. Tarkard, to give 6 rupees as dakshina. The lady felt pained as she had nothing to give. Then her husband explained to her that Baba wanted 6 inner enemies, that is, lust, anger, avarice, etc., to be surrendered to him. Baba agreed with this explanation. It is So it is to be noted that though Baba collected a lot of money by Dakshina, he would distribute the whole amount the same day, and the next morning he would become a poor fakir as usual. When Baba took his Mahasamadhi after receiving thousands and thousands of rupees as Dakshina, for about 10 years he had only a few rupees in his possession. In short, Baba's main object in taking Dakshina from his devotees was to teach them the lessons of renunciation and purification. Postscript: Mr. B.V. Dio of Thana, retired Mamlatdar and a great devotee of Baba, has written an article on this subject, Dakshina, in Sri Sai Leela magazine, volume 7, page 6 to 26, in which he says, amongst other things, as follows: Baba did not ask Dakshina from all. If some gave Dakshina without being asked, he sometimes accepted it, and at other times he refused it. He asked it from certain devotees only. He never demanded it from those devotees who thought in their minds that Baba should ask them for it, and then they should pay it. If anybody offered it against his wish, he never touched it, and if he kept it there, he asked him to take it away. He asked for small or big amounts from devotees according to their wish, devotion, and convenience. He asked it even from women and children. He never asked all the rich for it, nor from all the poor. Baba never got angry with those from whom he asked dakshina and who did not give it. If any dakshina was sent through some friend who forgot to hand over the same to Baba, he reminded him somehow of it and made him pay it. On some occasions, Baba used to return some sum from the amount tendered as dakshina and ask the donor to guard it or keep it in his shrine for worship. This procedure benefited the donor or devotee immensely. If anybody offered more than he originally intended to give, he returned the extra amount. Sometimes he asked more dakshina from some than what they originally intended to give, and if they had no money, asked them to get or borrow from others. From some he demanded dakshina 3 or 4 times a day. Out of the amount collected as dakshina, Baba spent very little for his own sake, that is, for buying chilim and fuel for his dhoni, and all the rest he distributed as charity in very proportions to various persons. All the paraphernalia of the Shirdi Sansthan was brought by various rich devotees at the instance and suggestion of Radha Krishna Mai. Baba always used to get wild and scolded those who brought costly and rich articles. He said to Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar that all his property consisted of one cowpin, that is cod piece, one stray piece of cloth, one kafni and tumbril, tin pot, and that all the people troubled him by bringing all these unnecessary, useless, and costly articles. Women and wealth are the two main obstacles in the way of our pramartha, that is spiritual life, and Baba has provided in Shirdi two institutions, that is Dakshina and Radha Krishnamai. Whenever they came to him, he demanded dakshina from them and asked them to go to the school, Radhakrishna Mai's house. If they stood these two tests well, that is, if they showed that they were free from attachment for woman and wealth, their progress is spirituality was rapid and assured by Baba's grace and blessings. Mr. Dio has also quoted passages from the Gita and Upanishads and showed the charity given in a holy place and to a holy personage conduces to the donor's welfare to a great degree. What is more holy than Shirdi and its presiding deity, Sai Baba? Bo to Sri Sai, peace be to all.